value wore off and reality settled in, John finally took notice of what the rest of the world saw all along. By the time the Beatles broke up in 1970, John resented his own prior ignorance about Hitler and about many things. During our few Beatles years together, every hero of John's fell in his eyes. While we were teaching the world to be enlightened with love, we undeniably were becoming ever more disillusioned. We were not as loving or as enlightened as the world needed us to be, and not nearly as clever and brilliant as we had hoped and supposed. We made music and death-appall messages, that's all. We were not as the media-built icon. The image was more than we ever were. Fans worshipped the image without any awareness of the heart. Religious figures, politicians, songwriters, the Beatles and others fell short in John's estimation. Sadly, all of his heroes vanished. He tended to make people and things bigger than life, which were much too big to ever measure up. Then they would let him down. I let him down that way too. I was the band's only hope. I was Paul's dream come true, too good to be true. I was the one who came to save and take over the band. But I could never be their new band leader if I were to be much like their old Paul. He didn't have what it takes to lead the band. He never could have done what I did. None of John's heroes remained his heroes for very long. There was a season when John was all over Bob Dylan's lyrics. They moved John to make his own lyrics more meaningful. But once John was up to Bob, in his own estimation, Dylan lost his edge. That's what John is talking about when he touts, "I don't believe in Zimmerman." He sang it because, for a season, John truly had believed in him. He sang, "I don't believe in Jesus," because he had once. His belief in Jesus ended when he was an early adolescent. Then he began persecuting nuns and others. He also sang, "I don't believe in Hitler." Yes, he believed in him as well. Everyone and everything that John listed in his disbelief song, he had at one time believed in and eventually become disillusioned with. They all let him down, or he realized that he had the wrong ideas about each of them in the first place. Every hero fell. John's Sexy Sadie vented his disappointment in the Maharishi, who infamously had tried to rape Mia Farrow, according to what she confided in me. We had all thought that man was more than ordinary, practically more than human. I thought his philosophy was genuinely deep and interesting, but got tired of all the boring repetition of his own brand of meditation. John and George both ate it all up, enjoying the new peace it gave them, mumbling some Sanskrit syllables all day. The disillusionment hit when John and George were trying to align themselves with the peace of heaven, using his meditation to free their minds of canned chatter, while their yogi master was sexually excited preying on women in our group. Venting. We recorded a few songs mocking him, but only released one, changing Maharishi to Sexy Sadie to avoid a lawsuit. I may release others. Feeling like an absolute fool for having trusted another idol who turned out to be just another obviously mortal guy, John became turned off with the idea of looking for peace. When John later realized he put too much emphasis on the messenger rather than the message itself, he allowed the idea that some of what we learned there had value, even if the man was not everything we'd hoped for. We had hoped for too much. The meditation helped. It's how John vanquished his drug demons years later, breaking his heaviest addictions. Drugs, like Hitler and John's other big idols, seemed much better than life at the start, but brought misery and pain once they became his love or his gods. Indulgence always makes fools of us all.